Kristen and Lori and Primus. So, how's everybody doing? Hi, Jesse. I never know if people are actually watching or if they just accidentally clicked on the live video and they're just passing through. So today I'm involved in a chat with an ongoing chat for the last month or two with my sister and two really good friends from my childhood, which has been really comforting. They're sisters also, and we grew up together, and it's been really comforting during this time to be reconnecting with, we've always been connected, but we've had daily conversations in this WhatsApp chat that we're having, sending pictures and just talking about our lives and what's going on and everything. And I just noticed in the past few days that we've all been really struggling emotionally in different ways. And, we're all in our 50s and we've all done a lot of work on ourselves to get to a place where we can feel good about ourselves emotionally and have skills and tools to deal with life. And my dog is barking outside. Sorry about that. Anyway, so it's just kind of interesting to watch this struggle right now. And for myself, I was thinking today about, particularly about just how a lot of things are caused, a lot of emotional stuff is just caused by conditions that we're dealing with. And so, for example, right now, obviously this pandemic and all of the associated, I don't want to say drama, but just everything about our lives changing and all of the uncertainty and fear and, financial issues. And it just goes on and fear of getting sick and worry about our loved ones and being isolated and so on. So there's just all these new conditions that have been put on us. And many of them are completely out of our control. And I noticed that volunteering in prison with, a lot of the men that I meet there had really difficult conditions as children. And they had to develop strategies to survive. And because they were children, a lot of those strategies often were strategies that ended up getting them in trouble as they got older. And so that seems to me like for a lot of us right now, we're suddenly dealing with all of these conditions and we're coming up with strategies to deal with it. And I guess where I'm going with this is today, my sister sent me a message and basically said that she had made a list of things that she was going to do today because she was just determined to have a good day today. And I kind of felt the same way. I need to set up conditions in my life today that are going to help me to get through this day in a better way than I have the last couple of days. So strategizing ways to cope during this time that are healthy and productive. And so I had a good day. I just really, really took kind of a by any means necessary approach to my mental health. So I got a good night's sleep last night. I made sure that I ate well. I got a lot of exercise. I went for a walk. I did a bunch of yoga. Because I know that if I keep working with my body and I keep moving, things are going to be better for me. That is something I know. So anyway, as we go forward tonight into this meditation, that's what I'm thinking about. That's where I'm coming from, is thinking about these new conditions that we have and new coping strategies and ways of dealing with things that are under our control and that we can employ to be able to survive in a, not just in a survival way, but in a healthy and thriving way if possible. So for me, one of those ways, as you know, because I've been, Lori says she's missing her Sunday breakfast with her brothers. She's been having Sunday breakfast with her brothers for over 50 years. And she now just has one brother and she hasn't seen him in 7 weeks and it's getting old. Yeah, that's really hard. It's hard, and I can relate just thinking forward about seeing my family and my parents down in Oregon. And so I think now, if you could find your seat, if you have a place where you're going to sit and find your spine and your breath. So even in just this little microcosm of this one meditation that we're going to do for the next 15 or 20 minutes, you're setting up conditions for yourself to have a healthy, relaxing, comfortable experience in your body. So there might be conditions around you in your house that are not ideal. There might be some noise or other people living in your space. Or you might not have the spot in your house that you want necessarily. I know sometimes in my living room I have trouble because it's really the only space in my house where I can do things like this easily, and there's often a dog and a 20-year-old and stuff like that. But right now it's quiet, and so hopefully you have a space right now where you can find some peace. And if you're gonna let's all sit to begin with. So perhaps you're sitting up on a cushion or a yoga block or something so that you can get your hips up a little bit. And then maybe you're sitting in a cross-legged position, or you could also sit on your, sit with your knees bent, which some people prefer, maybe with a cushion underneath you or something. In any case, just finding a place where you can be for a few breaths here, that your lower body can be really heavy and you can find your long spine and find your breath. So you might then close your eyes and let your shoulders relax, opening up the chest a little bit, finding the curves of your spine. So you're not just straight up and down, you've got these curves in your spine. They say 4-part curve to your spine. And your head is balanced, so you're not experiencing any strain in your neck from your head being forward. So just gently coaxing your head to be right on top of your shoulders, and then find your breath. And allow yourself to take 3 or 4 nice balanced breaths in and out through your nose. And as you inhale and fill your lungs, you might feel your rib cage expanding a little bit, perhaps a little bit more than you've felt it earlier today. So having a more complete experience of your breath. And as you exhale, you might feel your rib cage contracting and corseting in to help push all the air out. So just feeling the breath. You also might feel the belly moving with the breath. A little bit of expansion as you inhale, and then drawing in and contracting as you exhale. Letting your face relax. And just another breath here. And then you might just do a couple of shoulder rolls before we come onto the floor, just drawing the shoulders up and rolling them back and down a couple times. Maybe switching directions, rolling them forward And maybe a couple of neck rolls, just circling your head around in one direction. Go slow. And then the other direction. You might hear a little bit of crackling. And then just bringing your head back to center. And just pause for a moment, letting go of some of the tension in your upper body. And then coming onto your back. So you can relax in a horizontal position. If you would prefer to stay sitting, of course you can do that, but you could come onto your back so that you can be completely supported by gravity. Your body will be cradled, heavy on the floor or whatever surface that you're lying on. So setting up these conditions for yourself so that for the next 15 or so minutes you can be comfortable. So if that means putting a pillow under your head or underneath your knees, maybe covering your eyes, maybe finding a blanket to cover yourself with so that you can really take advantage of this time. And then once you get yourself settled, bringing the backs of your hands to the floor and allowing your arms to be relaxed, letting the front of your chest be open. And just feeling your breath here coming in and out through your nose. Not breathing in any particular way, just letting your breath be very free and unrestrained and comfortable and natural. Just trusting that your breath will do what it needs to do. So it'll be maybe a little more shallow. You don't need to take as deep of a breath. You're relaxed. And then letting your head be really heavy, thinking about the weight of your head. So letting the full weight of your head settle back towards the floor. Letting your forehead relax. Your eyes settling back inside your skull. All of the muscles that control the movements of the eyes are softening. The eyelids are relaxed. Feeling how the bridge of your nose can almost feel like it's widening. Your nostrils are just relaxed and open as the breath comes in and out. There's like a flow with your breath, a natural flow. Your jaw relaxing, softening. You could open your mouth and just gently stretch it open and then release it. Notice if that relieved any tension. You could do it again if it felt good. Just feeling your tongue softening, the back of your throat, the top of your mouth, your palate, the soft palate, relaxing and releasing any tension. Even your teeth. They're held in there by all the little roots and the little ligaments, and even all of your teeth are just kind of loosening their grip in your jaw so that there's virtually no extra tension in your face or jaw at all. Everything is releasing and subject to gravity, so settling back. Your head is supported and your neck is supported. So the natural curve of your cervical spine, of your neck, is supported. So there's no strain in your neck. I'm just feeling this area of your collarbones, like it's softening, and as it softens, the front of your chest is getting wider. And you can feel the back of your shoulders just softening against the floor. Kind of like your body is made of a large percentage of water or liquid. So you can imagine like your body is becoming more liquid right now in a pleasant way. Things are flowing freely in your body, your blood circulating and the flow of the breath, all of the wiring of your nervous system is moving freely and comfortably. There's no like impingement in your spine. Everything's open and flowing, even here on your back. So just allowing yourself to experience that good feeling. All of the information that, travels through your nervous system from your brain into the different parts of your body is flowing freely. And then in your belly, you have all these organs and all of this digesting. And you can just imagine same thing there, just very open, and flowing and comfortable in your belly. No struggle. And you can imagine gravity pulling all of the organs in your belly back towards the floor and allowing everything to settle back and release. Supported. The bones in your back, your shoulder, the scapula, the bones of your shoulders and your spine. The back of your pelvis, heavy against the floor. Feel the long bones in your legs, the femur bones. Just relaxing and heavy against the floor. And all of those big muscles that help you get around during the day are now in a complete state of, they're in a state of disuse. You're not needing them for anything, so they can all just soften and release. And then bringing yourself back to your breath and just noticing the breath coming in and out, the reliable breath. Feeling how good the breath feels and how the breath helps you to relax and to come into a greater state of comfort in your body and safety in your own body. And knowing that you can always come back to your breath again and again. Always can come back to your breath. Like I think last night I mentioned, like 1 unit of breath, 1 inhale and exhale is like the simplest and smallest unit of meditation or of calming yourself. You can always just take that 1 breath and it will change, it will shift things. And it will also help you to come back if you ever feel like you're meditating and things are getting, you're getting too deep into the meditation, or you feel like you're falling asleep, or maybe you're feeling some emotional stuff come up that feels, a little bit scary or whatever it is. When I first started meditating and doing yoga, I had a lot of emotional stuff come up. And it still does, but not as much as at the beginning. Some of it would be positional, like if I was in a heart opener at the beginning, often I would cry. And that can feel a little bit unfamiliar sometimes, or it can feel a little bit scary, but you can always bring yourself back to your breath, which brings you right into the present moment, where everything right now is safe in your body and contained. And so you might just imagine yourself now. Here you are, relaxed and heavy on the floor. And you might imagine yourself here. You might have some like iconic image of yourself from childhood. Like I have my kindergarten picture where I look really happy and I have my little pigtails and a little blue turtleneck on. And that's kind of one iconic image from my own childhood that I think of when I think of my happy childhood self. And so you might have like a school picture, or you might have a photograph that you can easily conjure up in your mind, or maybe just an image of yourself as a child, a particular outfit that you wore, or maybe a particular time in your life where you were happy and smiling and feeling good. And so you might kind of draw that image into your mind of your little self. And maybe it's a little older self. Maybe it's like a teenage self or a young adult self that comes to mind. And so you might see that happy image, or that like innocent kind of childlike picture of yourself, and just kind of hold that up right now in the light of your own awareness, that image of yourself as a child. And you might just acknowledge as you do that, that little person inside of you is still there, as are so many other aspects of your own being. You kind of have like these sort of times in your life, like in your childhood or in your adolescence, that are always with you. And so you might kind of gaze at that image that you brought up for yourself and look at that little person that's still there inside of you and that at one time existed. And just looking upon yourself now as at that person as an innocent person who had all sorts of conditions around them that they didn't have any control over. Just like now, we have the same thing, lots of conditions that we don't have control over. And some of those things are really, good things, like maybe you had a comfortable house to live in and parents who loved you. And maybe some of those things were not so, those conditions were not so ideal. But you had to cope with them as a child. And so you can kind of see now in your relaxed state here that the little person that you see in this image did the best that they could with all of those conditions that they were given. And that little person developed ways of coping and strategies for dealing with those things. And some of those coping strategies and ways that they dealt with the conditions of their life were carried forward, and some of them were very helpful at the time and became less helpful as they got older. And so you can look at yourself that way. You can see that you've got coping strategies that have served you really well and may continue to, and other strategies that maybe you might want to leave behind. They might not be helping you anymore. All of us are like this. All of us have these things. And practicing mindfulness and meditation can help us to see our patterns a little bit more clearly. And there's lots of other ways to work with that, of course. But becoming more aware of ourselves. And so that's kind of what I was talking about at the beginning of this meditation, was noticing the conditions around me have really changed here with the coronavirus and the pandemic, and the conditions that I can change in my life. What are those things that I can do to strategize for new ways to cope in a time of uncertainty and challenge? So you might be taking a look at that for yourself as well. But I think importantly, you can look at that image of yourself as a child And you can kind of gaze on that little person who's still with you with a lot of compassion and a lot of love. Because that person did the best they could. And now, in this way, you're doing the best that you can now, also with what you have available to you. So, just taking a moment, not only to look at this little person inside of you with compassion and love and understanding, but also looking at yourself now in the same way and forgiving yourself for any missteps that you've made, allowing yourself to let that stuff go so you can move forward into creating new ways for yourself to strategize and cope. We're in a big shift and a big transition right now in a lot of ways. So, taking a look at the things we can change and the things we can control in our lives, different ways we can strategize for the coming days to keep ourselves on an even keel. So feeling your body now, feeling how heavy you are and how relaxed you are, and just noticing the breath again, feeling the comfort of your own body and your own breath, the safety of your body, and the safety of your breath. And just allowing yourself to feel whatever comes up and to be with what comes up during these meditations within the safety of that container of your body and the container of the meditation itself. And then just taking a few more breaths. You can let go of your image of your little self, just knowing that your little self is safe inside of you, that you're tending to it, you're taking care of your childlike self in lots of different ways. So holding that image in your heart in a loving way. And then if you're going to stay on your back, you can stay right there, or you might roll onto your side and come up to your seat and bring yourself back up for a few balanced breaths in your seat so that you can come back into your evening. And when you come back up to your seat, you're bringing all of those selves, including the one that you held up in this meditation this evening, that image of yourself as a child. So I'm bringing with me my kindergarten self with my pigtails and my smile and my innocence. Just bringing that right up into your next transition to your seat. And keeping your long spine and your heavy lower body. Allowing yourself to come back into the space. You might even open your eyes and just kind of reorient yourself in your own space, wherever you are. Seeing all the familiar things in your own house. And knowing that you're safe. And then you could bring your hands together at your heart. And you could bow your head to your own practice, to your own inner teacher, which could be your own inner child self, to your higher self or your higher power. Namaste. Have a nice, relaxing evening, and I'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.